Well, good afternoon and welcome to the 660 Club. It might be wet and grey outside, but right now it's time to meet 6 bright and shiny startups in just 60 minutes. I'm Jeremy Bassett, I'm CEO of CoCube, and we connect corporates with startups to deliver digital transformation. We've helped over 35 of the FTSE 100 so far to implement things like accelerator programs and other things that can help future-proof their business. And here's a 30-second overview of what we do. Boom. So during the month of June, we've been looking at the topic of rebooting growth. And as a former Unilever marketing director, this week we're looking at one of my favorite topics, and that is how can startup innovation help brands build and maintain brand equity? The quote that I think is really pertinent this time is that marketing builds brands, but time kills brands. And the question I'd like to ask you is, how is your brand responding during this period? We'd love to know. Use the chat on the right of your screen, drop in links, share campaigns, send us your YouTube ads or articles about what's going on at your company. We'd really like to hear about that. And regardless though of how you're responding, whether your brand's gone quiet or whether you're pumping out sentimental music on our pre-rolls or something in between, there's never been a more important time for brands to step up, to reconnect, and engage with the people they serve. At CoCube, we track over 14,500 marketing and ad tech startups. These are startups that are pioneering the future of the industry. They're creating tools that are more efficient and more effective at engaging with your customers. And we'd love to help you connect with these innovators. So if you're inspired by today's session, but you've got a specific challenge that you'd like to tackle, then we'd love to talk about how we can help you connect with the right startups. So let's get this show on the road. Here's how the next 50 minutes is going to work. We'll kick off with some expert insights from our guest speaker, who I'll introduce in just a minute. Then you're going to hear from 6 startups with practical solutions to growing your brand equity. And finally, we're going to move into breakout sessions where you can grill any of the presenters, meet other club members, and continue the conversation. So for more details about the startups, you'll also be able to connect directly with them at the Expo booth, again on the left-hand side of your screen, right after the event as well. Use the chat bar on the right to say hello, make comments, ask questions, and of course, the CoCube team is there to help out as needed as well. So to kick things off, we're going to be looking at Generation Z. Imagine co-founder and CEO Jay Richards is the 5th of 6 children from migrant parents. From a rebellious start at school to now the founder of Imagine and a Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur, he is on a mission to provide opportunities for Gen Z to shape the future. Jay, welcome to the club.
Hey, Jeremy. Thank you for having me, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. So good to see you. Hey, I'm really interested. Chat, why don't you start? Give us an elevator pitch of Imagine.
Yeah, great. Yeah, so at Imagine, our mission is to help Gen Z to shape their future. And we know that the best way to do that is to enable them to work with brands, because as you guys do, brands shape countries and culture probably more than governments normally do. So what we do is we help agencies and brands to build their branding, their marketing, and their products by enabling them to collaborate with our community of Gen Z consultants. So imagine we are like a crowdsourcing platform for everything Gen Z, whether that's feedback, ideas, or insights.
Okay, very cool. And for some of the brands here today, Gen Z might not be their primary audience right now, but I mean, talk us through why are they important and how do brands start to engage with them?
Yeah, so the thing is, yeah, you're right. A lot of brands may not be talking to Gen Z at the moment, but Gen Z will be buying your product one day. They're currently 32% of the world's population. Their spending power is going to 4.4 trillion over the next 10 years. So right now is a great time to start to listen and start conversations with Gen Z, and enable them to help you to shape your brand for whatever it needs to be in the future. Let them guide you. And we've seen huge brands do this really well. We've seen other brands make huge mistakes by not engaging Gen Z. So future-proof your brand and mitigate the risks that you could face by engaging with Gen Z now.
Very cool. And of course, like Gen Z seem to be disproportionately hit by COVID. What do you think, what are the opportunities for brands to engage with them during this period? And what would be your advice to brands looking to connect with them?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The biggest ways I would say to engage with them right now is offering them opportunities. So whether that's hiring or bringing them on in an internship perspective, because 30% of Gen Z have either been furloughed or lost their jobs right now. So it's a great opportunity to reach out and help them in normal ways like that. But if you can, donate to charities that are helping Gen Z, donate to organizations that are helping Gen Z, especially with regards to stuff like Black Lives Matter. And Gen Z, if you want them to buy from you in the future, right now is a great time to build brand love with them and really engage that audience.
Yeah, fascinating. And I mean, fast forward a few years from now, where do you think Gen Z are going to be in terms of like how will COVID affect them and the way that they engage with brands?
Yeah, good question. I think the interesting thing about Gen Z is everybody says that they're resilient and on all these different bits and pieces. But I think the thing that I love about Gen Z most is that they're co-creative. So they're excited to do new things and do unexpected things with great human beings. And I think in the future, brands need to really latch onto that because they are there and they're ready to engage with these brands. And as I said, a lot of them are being furloughed or made redundant. So right now is a great time to basically engage a people group that are going to be highly engaged because they haven't really got much else going on. So right now is a great time to really reach out and see what they think of your brand.
I like that idea. And I love that insight that they're there and ready to co-create. Do you see good examples of that, Jay? In terms of, have you seen brands do that well, and have you maybe even enabled that through Imagine?
Yeah. So a perfect example of that, outside of what we do at Imagine, is Nike with their Londoner campaign. So LDNR, their Londoner campaign was phenomenal. That's a perfect example of engaging with your end user and building something beautiful. And we do that internally all the time. So we work with brands like the NFL or Stella McCartney or other large brands and really help them just to engage with our phenomenal community of consultants so that brands can mitigate those risks. And you see brands really taking chances, but those chances really paying off because they did the research and got the insights before they made decisions. It's really just about making informed decisions based off loads of great data that you've got from the audience you're targeting.
Amazing. And talking about audiences, and we've got a few startups that are talking about audiences later on as well. I mean, you've got quite a network of Gen Z people as well. How have you built that, and how are brands using that network?
Yeah, so we built that literally, it was just super organic, going into schools and universities and saying to young people, hey, our mission is to enable you to shape your future. Are you keen and do you want to get paid? 2 simple questions, and loads of people signed up, which was amazing. So now what we've done over the last years is really hone that community, enable them to pitch to brands so they get better, we get better, and we continue to mold. And for a lot of brands, they come to us if they're looking for feedback, ideas, or insights. So say, for example, a brand wants to roll something out. They've got 5 marketing ideas they want to roll out. We can send those ideas to our consultants, and within 72 hours, our consultants can give you video feedback on the 2 ideas you should go with and how you can improve them. So you mitigate the risks on that side of things, but also we can do ideation. So we can come up with brand new ideas for a brand, for marketing campaigns, whatever it may be, with our community. And these insights can be super brutal, but at times they can be extremely helpful and give you the data you need to win and succeed.
Amazing. Amazing. That's so cool. Yeah, super practical, but super inspiring as well, I imagine those sort of sessions to be.
Yeah, it's good. I think the exciting thing that we see is, as I was alluding to a second ago, because Gen Z are so, they've got a lot of free time right now. They're just super excited to be engaged and involved in stuff. And we pay our consultants extremely well to work with us. But one of the things that we've seen from brands, a lot of brands, the more bold brands are ready to take these chances and ready to take these risks. And it's really paying off for them. And the work we're doing with the NFL right now, literally this week and next week, is I'm so excited for people to start seeing it over the next 6 to 12 months, because it's going to completely change their marketing strategy over the next 3 years. And I think it's time for brands really just to go, okay, we're humble enough to listen to our end user, listen to the people we're trying to target and sell to, and let them be engaged in the conversation and lead that conversation.
Okay, awesome. Jay, thanks so much for joining. Some great insights there on how how to engage with Gen Z. And of course, for everyone that's here, if you're keen to explore this more, Jay is offering 660 Club members a free month of brutally honest insights from Gen Z. So get in touch with him. It's jay@imagineinsights.com, and you can find out more from that. Great, thanks so much for joining. All right. Now it's time to dive into the pitches. Buckle up. These are fast and furious, 2 minutes each. Do make a note of any startups that could be interesting to you, questions you might have. Drop them in the chat bar or take them to the sessions right after, and we'll try and get them answered for you. So it's on to our first pitch. And when it comes to advertising, it's relatively simple to know which campaigns have resonated with an audience. But for long-term growth, the bigger question that brands need to ask is, why have they worked? With a solution to that question is Tom from Automative Creative.
Hi,
Tom,
Jeremy. Thanks so much for having me. I'd like to apologize everyone for doing this in a kid's bedroom, but here we go. So a few years ago, I discovered a really shocking fact, and that was the fact that artificial intelligence had become creative. I found AIs that could do things like write copy, create images, do video, as well as run media campaigns and research audiences. And even though these technologies were very much in their infancy, I saw the dawn of a new type of advertising, one that had AI at the center of it. So as a result of that, I founded Automated Creative with a mission to reinvent advertising using AI. So the problem that we solve is that most brands don't know why their ads work. In every campaign, there's a certain element of creative guesswork. And also it's compounded by the problem that brands have a limited resources, limited budget, and they have to kind of make one big bet on one creative idea or a few different versions of that creative idea. But we solve that problem. And what our technology and system does is tap into hundreds of conversations in social media and then create hundreds and thousands of different ads that answer every single one of those conversations online. And then over time, what our ads do is learn about which emotional triggers are driving return on investment. So we can produce an unlimited number of ads on social media or on display advertising. And what we deliver is huge leaps in performance, as well as being able to tell brands why their ads work. So a very unusual business that delivers both performance and insight. And the clients we do this for are Samsung, GSK, Bose, Diageo, Reckitt Benckiser, Pernod Ricard, and Adidas. And currently we're live in just over 18 countries as we speak. So in summary, Automated Creative removes the guesswork from the creative process by creating hundreds of ads that target different conversations in social media. And we deliver advertising performance, but also we're able to tell you why your ads work, all driven by artificial intelligence.
Amazing, amazing. And good traction in a short period of time there, Tom. I mean, tell us, most of the brands that are on the session today will be working with a media agency of some sort. How do you work with media agencies, or how does the solution plug into them?
Yeah, good question. We love working with media agencies and worked with most, and certainly the major media direct API plugin to Facebook and DV360. So we get granted access by the media agency, but very much partner with them. So they do what media agencies are great at, but our technology seamlessly plugs into their campaign and business managers, meaning that there's zero friction and means they get access to really hyped up creative based on our AI driven tool, but don't do any extra work. So that's a seamless partnership that we do day in, day out.
Brilliant, cool. All right, thanks for joining, Tom. And Tom's going to be at the booth later or in the seminars rooms later to answer questions. And of course, if you want to connect with Tom, head to his booth and there's a button there that you can click and your details will be shared directly. Thanks for joining, Tom. All right, on to our second pitch. Well, well-known faces have always been used to promote products, but the rise of influencer marketing has taken that to a whole new level. How do you select the right influencer that's going to resonate with your customer? Well, to tell us more, here's Rob from Clear. Rob, welcome to the club. Maybe seamless. Come on, Rob. Let's share your video. Are we being stood up? Maybe we can jump into our next startup and come back to Rob if we need to. Why don't we do that? Yes, I'll make a decision. All right, we'll come back to Rob. But our third startup is tackling a big challenge for FMCG and retailers, and that is, how do you deal with all of the data that you've got and use that to get more bang for your marketing buck? Well, to tell us more, we've got Savesh from Singular Intelligence. Hi, Savesh. Welcome to the club. There we go.
Hi, Jeremy. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. So while companies, consumer goods companies have acquired over years all kinds of data from retail to third party to social to many of the other open data types, and established a good portfolio of data analytics, business intelligence, and consumer and market insight, agency relationships. One of the biggest challenges they face when they actually take decisions, like a brand manager or a marketing manager, they need to understand the impact of different marketing drivers, which are continuously evolving in a dynamic market context, before they can actually get to a full conclusion of whether media or any investment, whether it is investment on influencers or channels or pricing or promotions, is on its own making the difference in market share or sales, or is it a cumulative effect, or is it competition? So this is one reason most marketing investments have doubtful return on investment. Clarity doesn't exist. Promotions, most 70% of promotions do not make sense, and that problem has remained for a long time. And that's when we started working on a technology that can learn from all different data types, learn from all causal factors, drivers of marketing, and use that in creating forward-looking scenarios of market performance. So in Singular Intelligence, what you see on the slide here, we learn from all relevant causal factors of marketing and different data types that come together. And it's a complex, over a period of time, we have developed a innovative multi-modeling solution which learns from all these causal factors, from consumers, different types of consumers, different channels, environmental factors, social search, and all of those things, and helps them create scenarios. So a brand manager or a marketing manager or category manager can get a predictive view of his market, can get alerts about the markets, and use that to understand what exactly is making a difference. So isolated analysis here becomes a holistic analysis, and you are able to take a much more clear, specific decisions on pricing, promo, marketing, brand equity. Each one of them, each of these matrices that we are talking about depends on a number of 10 to 12 causal factors. They can simulate scenarios, changing those causal factors coming out of data. This is a highly innovative solution, and this has been tried in large brands successfully and is making a big difference.
And Savesh, let's just talk about that. Can you give us some concrete examples of how a brand manager has used this solution to drive growth?
Sure. Brand managers generally take decisions on the brand share in the market and the media, a number of factors that comes into picture. So a typical brand manager, when he's building a brand plan, so there are two parts to the activity: strategic planning and in-flight optimization. So he would typically use this solution to learn from all the factors, including the previous year's what has worked, what has not worked, and create scenarios for the market with the latest data that is available forward-looking scenarios, and based on that, build a yearly brand plan. Now that is not enough. 30 to 40% of market data becomes irrelevant every year, and so as the plan gets executed, he can use this technology to do in-flight optimization on the way.
Okay, cool. Very cool. Thank you for joining, Savesh. Of course, Savesh will be in one of the breakout sessions right after this. And if you're interested in singular intelligence, then connect with them at the expo booth. But let's move back to Rob. Rob, why don't you jump on and tell us everything about Clear and influencer marketing?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Pleasure to be here. Jeremy, thank you. Sorry about the technical glitch. Together, very excited to be part of this group. Just a little bit about us. I'm a sales director at Clear for about 4 years now. We are a big data influencer marketing platform that helps brands build, scale, and measure their influencer marketing globally. We were founded in 2012 by 3 brothers, which, believe it or not, they're still getting along fine. They're all still at the company. Clear today is largest brands, brands like P&G, Nestle, Virgin, Dyson, Mercedes, Google, and the list goes on. We use a state-of-the-art NLP, machine learning, and image recognition technologies to deliver social footprints on really any public social profile in the world. Okay, so clients are really in pretty much any market we can think of that is really into influencer marketing and social. In summary, Clear helps brands discover influencers, vet them, and then also measure and manage campaigns in pretty much any market in the world.
Cool, great pitch there, and very clear. So talk us through influencer marketing. I mean, is it still relevant during COVID?
So it's actually extremely relevant. It's just the lag time between a brand being able to reach their customers on social is almost non-existent. So many brands have already built up sort of an army of trusted influencers, ambassadors that they can connect with and get messages out. For example, I know Jay mentioned Nike. They're doing a great job in a lot of ways on social. They've got the Play for the World campaign. Adidas has Home Team. So these kind of hashtags and these campaigns are kind of the ambassadors light the fire for these. But then others on the internet, it resonates with them and they carry that message forward. So Clear's been doing a lot of also just work with the clients, analyzing what people are doing in different industries, in their industries, competitive landscape, see, how they're dealing with these sensitive issues, what's resonating and what's working well. And we've written a bit about this topic too, if you guys want to learn more.
Okay, cool. That's on the website, is that?
On the blog.
Cool, awesome. All right, brilliant. Well, thanks for joining, Rob. And of course, Rob's going to be joining us in the seminar rooms right after this. And if you would like to connect with Clear, then do that at the expo booth as well.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. All right, we're 3 down, 3 to go. As a marketeer, what would you do differently if you could predict the future? It'd be a pretty useful skill, right? Well, a platform that helps you to do just that is Olvent. And from Olvent, here is Sam.
Hey, Jeremy. Thank you again to everyone in the CoCube team for having us on this today. And hello to everyone on the call. I think I have about 1 minute and 50 seconds now to tell you about what Olvent is and our platform Almanac and how we're trying to level the playing field for physical retail and brands using AI. Well, it's obvious to say that e-commerce has undoubtedly taken the world by storm in the last couple of decades, not least in part due to the fantastic tools and services that companies have created, which enable them to get a full understanding of who their customers are and who their customers will be. And in a heartbeat, those tools can can take them to tell who their customers are and predict what they're going to do next, where they are, not just in their own e-commerce store, but across the entirety of the internet. But physical retail is a massive black hole. Traditional methods such as old school reporting, consultancy projects are very expensive, laggard, time consuming, and the bottom line is they often raise more questions than they actually answer. At the same time, physical retailers have a whole raft of additional variables which their customers can be subject to, stuff like weather and traffic and peripheral events that go on that have a direct impact on their sales. But with advances in machine learning and AI, my company, Olvent, has launched its flagship platform, Almanac, which is a consumer insight and intent platform, which uses data science to give very smart, but very, very simple and instant access to predictions on consumers in retail. So we spent the last 18 months building out this platform, curating and collecting over 10 core data sources, ranging from weather and demographics through to events and location data, and calculating billions of daily outcomes that happen in the real world, but also answering the questions as to why they happen. We distill this all into actionable and instant insight through our online platform, which we're actually happy to be launching today. We spent 18 months building it, and we're going to launch it in March, but then this small thing called COVID happened. But now we think now is the really the ultimate time to be sharing this platform with retailers, something that's offered for a disruptive price, which gives access to instant insight and disrupts a very laggard business model that has existed in the place for physical retailers today. So we're really happy to be launching that with SixSixty.
Amazing. Congratulations. Pleased to share this moment with you, Sam. So, I mean, talk us through it. Obviously, there's a lot of insight platforms out there. What makes this one different?
Yeah, I think our USP is twofold. Number one is it doesn't cost you 50 grand a month. We're doing it really for a really disruptive price of $249 a month. So giving every individual franchisee right up to the multinational retailer or brand the access to the same insights and actionability. But really our USP is on the predictive. A lot of insight platforms make you inject your own first-party data, and we actually focus on telling you with our own data, our own curated data, what is going to happen in the forthcoming months and days to come.
Okay, very cool. So look, all about the launch, and of course, for everyone here, do check that out. Connect with Sam at the booth, and come and join the conversation in the breakout session right after this as well. But thanks for joining, Sam.
Thank you. Later.
All right, staying on the theme of insights, how do you really know your audience? Well, growing a brand today means having a deep understanding of your consumer and the cultures that they engage with. And a solution that can help with this is audience. So from audience, please welcome Carlos.
Hi, how are you doing? Thank you for having me here. So going back to the pitch, Audience with an S is an audience intelligence platform. We are using social data to create social consumer segments. So what does this mean? So we are not a social listening platform. We are not a social analytics platform. We are cutting that social data in a completely different way by clustering based on who knows who, how people are connected, how those consumers are connected. And then from that data-driven approach, we can actually ask, how do they know each other? And this is fundamental today, particularly when brands need to be more relevant, build more relevant messages, and there is a personalization trap where they fall at the expense of whether you do individual personalization that can become overwhelming, all the way down to, are you gonna treat your whole audience as a mass, which yes, is simple, but it's ineffective. So we go back to the segments and the clusters, and we believe that in order to stay on top of culture and understand how those consumer segments are evolving, best way, simple way to complement some of the existing tools you have today is segment based on who knows who, because those people are connected because of a reason, and now it's about understanding the context and the relevance of that context and how they are behaving. So a good example of that, if you take the audience of Manchester United, are they all Manchester United fans? How do you segment that? Based on if they are not in Manchester or they don't follow Manchester, then they are not a Manchester fan. How do you actually segment those journalists out of that? Are you just gonna search through the bio? And how do you actually identify people from other clubs like Everton that they might be following Manchester United based on the same theme as before? So that's why by asking who is uniquely connected, then you can understand the context, then you understand they are Everton fans, or they might be even Manchester United season ticket holders. So that's what we do. That's the foundation of our platform to understand audiences.
And I mean, Carlos, you raised quite a few questions there. How does audience solve that problem? And why is it better?
So it's based on those connections. So we get something that now people are doing mostly manual, your data scientist, or maybe some of the platforms you work with, they will charge you loads to actually do it manually as well themselves through professional services. Ours is a full self-service platform. From start to creating the report, it takes 30 seconds or 1 minute. It depends on how long you take to define the audience. And then the whole clustering and visualizations, it doesn't take longer. Now they are taking a minute. It's actually how it complements what you already have. This is an ingredient that creates the hypothesis. Is how you go back now to your social listening platform and you segment conversations based on connected communities rather than on topics. It's how you actually go to your survey panel data, and now you can actually bring it down to something that you can manage and can have segments that you can then do your media planning, your influencer identification, etc. And I think that's one of the best ways. So something like Clear, that we work a lot with them, to put an example of how we complement others, they have a lot of filters to identify the right influencers. But if I take everyone around today's event, you might be one of the best influencers out there, whether you have 10 followers, 100 or 1,000 followers, because you are connecting everyone around and co-cubed. And that's the fundamental basis of influencer. And that's then you go to Clear and you can understand better those influencers, you can put them into a campaign and you can execute it, for which they are amazing. But this is what we do. We give an audience-centric approach to those other tools you have, so you don't fall into the tactical trap and you can be more audience-centric in how you use them and how you get the data from them.
Okay, super cool. Thank you, Carlos. And of course, Carlos is going to be joining us in the breakout room right after this, so continue the conversation there. But it's time to move on to our final pitch. And obviously, consumers are wanting the brands that they're trusting to have purpose and integrity. Championing an ethical approach to advertising is a company called Goodloop. And from Goodloop, we have Amy. Welcome to the club.
Hi, thank you for having me. So as Jeremy mentioned, this 660 session is all about growth. And it's actually a sexy growth statistic that first drove me to start Goodloop in 2016. Unilever had just discovered that their social and sustainable brands grew 50% faster than the rest of their portfolio. Or to put it another way, they sold more soap when they did good in the world. And now, more than ever, surrounded by a global pandemic with protesters on our streets, to build a brand that matters, you have to do something that matters. And actions speak louder than words. And with Goodloop, money where their mouth is, and they can create meaningful, valuable conversation with their consumers online. And here's how it works. We take existing ad content and we wrap it in our ethical ad formats. We distribute these ads programmatically onto premium publisher sites and social platforms. And if someone chooses to engage for just a few seconds of their day, they unlock a free donation funded by the advertiser, and they can choose which cause they would like to support. For example, through Goodloop, not only did KitKat fund school kits and community centres, but it also delivered impressive engagement metrics with 82% completed view rates on the video and a 20% uplift in intent to purchase. After the campaign, we also ran a brand uplift study, asking to what extent do you think of KitKat as an ethical brand, from not at all to very. And through Goodloop, we saw a 65% decrease in not at all responses, as well as a 20% uplift in highly ethical responses. So come and chat to me and my team. We'll be in session A after this, and we can discuss how we can help you grow your brand in an effective way that's also meaningful and genuinely impactful. Thank you.
Great pitch, Amy. And impressive results there as well. I mean, you talk about action speaking louder than words, but obviously words are cheap. When it comes to using Goodloop, what's the commercial model there, and how much does this cost a brand?
So the secret sauce of Goodloop is we donate 50% of the cost of every ad to a good cause, but we're also giving people a genuinely positive reason to spend some time with your brand. So think of it not as just a donation, but also the cost of that attention and that positive sentiment. And you're actually creating a moment of shared endeavor where the brand and the consumer are doing a little bit of good in the world together. So that ethical incentive is really what drives the significant engagement rates. Therefore, you get better performance, you get better recall, as well as building brand love. So the cost is higher, but this investment means the media you do buy, it works harder, you get more completed views, and ultimately you reduce waste and increase ROI.
Okay, good reasons to engage. Amy, thank you so much. Like you said, Amy's going to be in the breakout room A if you want to continue the conversation with Amy. And of course, head to the Goodloop booth if you want to connect with Goodloop as well. But thanks so much, Amy. So that's our 6 startups who have pitched. A big thank you to each and every one of them for getting involved in this. As I said, you're going to have a chance now to talk with them, ask questions, and engage. But before we do that, I just want to make one quick announcement. So as part of SixSixty, we're having a lot of fun exploring different topics and 6 startups that can change the way that corporates deal with those challenges or those topics. But what we're going to do from July is change tack a little bit, and we'll focus on specific brands. So we've got a specific brand challenge, and then we'll have startups that are solving that. We'll have a person from that brand as the keynote speaker, so to speak. And then we'll have the startups pitching their big solution to the brand brief. So if you want to be involved in that, we would love to hear from you. We've got companies like Jones Lang LaSalle, Capita, and others signed up for that. There's still a couple of slots left. So if you'd like to be involved, do let us know. We'd love to have your brand involved in that as well. And then finally, we'd love any feedback you have. If you would like to run one of these sessions in your company, we'd love to explore doing that with you. Or if you've got suggestions for how we can do these sessions better as well, please do drop me an email. But right now, it's time to continue the conversation. If you're interested in smarter advertising and influencers, then head to session A. And if you're interested in insights and predictive analytics, head to session B. So jump in, be brave, join the conversation, and we will see you next week. Thanks for joining.